What's up, y'all? My name is Shay Rowbottom, digital marketing entrepreneur and LinkedIn influencer. I had a great time today hanging out on Dro TV. Be sure to check out the podcast. Awesome, hilarious stories about smoking cannabis. Don't miss it with Mike Freeman. I'll see you guys next time.
Welcome back to My First Time, the show where our guests tell their story of the first time they got high off of marijuana. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Shay Rowbottom. Hi, Shay.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming on Dro TV today. You can find more of Shay everywhere: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter recently.
No, I'm not on Twitter. I'm on like every other platform, but yeah, you can just Google me, Shay Rowbottom, and everything pops up.
All right, you've got an imposter out there actually doing work for you, because I was on Twitter earlier and somebody's posting as you, putting up your content.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to check on that. I mean, maybe it is my team, but I personally am not on Twitter, so I'll check with my team on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have all the links down below. Shay is an incredible LinkedIn influencer and digital marketing entrepreneur. So I would love to get some more insights, some stuff that you can share with our audience. But before we get into all of that, Shay, we want to know your first time story. So please tell our audience where you're located and a little bit about yourself, Shay.
Absolutely. So right now I am living in Orlando, Florida. It's a great city. It's actually where I met Mike here at the Delta 8 Expo a few weeks ago. I'm originally from Wisconsin, actually. I grew up in Milwaukee and born and raised, was there until I was 26. So just a few years ago, I left, relocated to Florida, but Wisconsin is my homeland, and Milwaukee would be the first place I got high. So if you want, I could get right into that story. I was pretty young. I was a kid. We can go there first if you'd like.
Yeah, let's get into it. Sure. So back in
Awesome.
Wisconsin.
Yes, in Milwaukee. Actually grew up in a little suburb just west of Milwaukee. It's called Wauwatosa. Super trendy and cute. It's kind of like a city meets suburbs type of town. And I was super curious about marijuana. I was pretty drug curious about a lot of things at a young age, but I just had this intuitive knowing that I was going to be an addict. I was quite fearful of drugs in that way. I wanted to try them. I knew I'd like them a lot, but I was really intuitive and aware at a very young age that I had to be careful, because I knew I had that addict gene. I knew that a lot of people in my family had struggled with alcohol, and I had had a few friends who were older than me who had gotten hooked on pills at a young age, oxy, perks, and I knew I didn't want to go down that dark road. So weed seemed pretty safe, and it was actually the first drug or medicine that I tried outside of, maybe I probably had a few sips of alcohol before then, actually, but yeah, I was 14. I was in 8th grade at Longfellow Middle School in Wauwatosa. And I grew up just a few doors down from this neighbor boy who was also in my grade. And we had grown up together. We'd always, played outside, gone to the same schools. He was one of my best friends. And he was the first person who really brought it around and said, hey, I got some Mary Jane, like, do you want to try it? And he had gotten it from his older sister who was in high school at the time. And I said, yeah, I'm really curious. Let's do it. I was super nervous and very naive. And it was funny because at the time I actually lived in a house where we had a detached garage in the backyard. And the garage was actually an updated garage that we had built during my time living there, where my parents built a rec room above the garage. So it's a 2-car garage with a big space above it with like pool table, ping pong, super cool, just kind of rec room area. And that's where we did it. I remember he brought it. It was rolled up in a blunt. It was me, myself, one of his guy friends, one of my girlfriends. So just 4 of us. And so hilarious that I did this, because looking back, within just a year or so, I would never risk doing this type of behavior. But my parents were actually home, and I could see them in the kitchen just across the way from the driveway. As I was looking outside the garage, I could see them in the kitchen. But it was raining, and they were a little self-involved, my parents. So I was pretty confident they weren't even going to come up and bother us. The thing about starting drugs when you're so young is your parents really a lot of times don't even suspect it. So I was in really good standing with my mom. I was a really good student. I don't think she thought I was up to anything naughty. So I was just pretty confident, like, you know what, whatever. She's not going to come out here. Let's crack a window. Let's go for it. And we smoked the whole blunt, and we went to a basketball game. Now, I'm sure maybe you've talked about this on your show, but you do hear a lot of people say this, where it's a common experience that the first time people smoke weed, they don't actually get high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was more my experience the first time I smoked. It was really more the high of like the rush of trying it and the excitement of what's this going to be like, and oh my God, my parents are right there, like I'm being so naughty. So that to me was really more the high. I don't feel that I really broke through in terms of getting into that, very aerial space up in the clouds that weed can take us to.
Sure.
It was a cool experience. We went to a basketball game after. It was a local high school basketball game. We had fun. And hey, I got away with it. So I felt like, you know what, I got away with it once, I could do it again.
Sure.
And I think it was about a month or two later, it was 420. So I was 14. Let's see, that was 6 years ago. So this would have been 420 on, or no, not 6 years ago, 16 years ago. Excuse me. So 16 years ago, it would have been, what year is it now? So 2008, I guess, right? Yeah, 2007 or 2008. That year on 420, I had cultivated a group of other friends by now who smoked weed, were cannabis curious. And of course, when you're that young, it's a pretty secretive circle. You don't really want people finding out, especially me. I was a straight A student. I didn't want to ruin my reputation. Mm-hmm. And so I had attracted a few other guys by that point, mostly guys, actually. A lot of girls didn't smoke at this age. Me and my girlfriend were one of the few. And it was 420, and my mom wasn't home. So I said, hey, I've got this garage. Above it, there's a rec room. Like, let's go there and let's smoke. And I wasn't really nervous because I had done it already. And I was like, this is a very mild drug. I didn't really feel much. So what the heck? Let's roll up and let's do the whole 420 thing in my garage before my mom gets home. Well, that time I got high. And I was still 14. I was still in 8th grade. And I remember the moment they passed me the blunt and I hit it so hard. I had my first coughing attack where you just are overwhelmed with smoke, and I started to cough, and of course we all know the coughing is what makes you more high. Sure. And I'll never forget it. I exhaled and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So I was like, oh man, I am feeling this. And then I started to get a little paranoid, like, whoa, all of these 14-year-old boys in my house or in the garage, getting high. Like, I got to get them out of here before my mom gets home. This is sketch. This is sketch. This is sketch. And so I got them out of the garage because that's the point of danger where it smelled in there. So I was like, let's at least get out of the garage. I got them to go on the front porch of my house. And I'll never forget. I remember we all started to look at our hand just like this, just right in front of us, looking at our hand. And we were all just mesmerized that it looked like we had 10 fingers instead of 5. And we were all like, whoa, look at the hand. And I was tripping. I mean, it was like back then, the first time you get high from cannabis, it's like a full-blown psychedelic experience.
Sure.
So it was interesting. It was funny, but I was definitely scared of getting caught because I felt very out of control at that point. And I was like, I don't want my mom to see me like this. Let's go. And I eventually got the boys to leave my porch, venture off down the street into some woods nearby, and just, go to the local playground or anything. So bing, bada, boom. That was really my first introduction to the power of cannabis as something to alter your consciousness. Sure. I realized it was very strong. I realized wow, this really is a whole experience. And it didn't take long. I'd say by the time I turned 15, the following fall when I was a freshman in high school. By then I was, smoking every single day after school. And I went on smoking weed for about, I'd say a year and a half since that initial time, the initial times that I tried in my garage. And it took about a year and a half. And I was smoking a lot, very frequently. It took about a year and a half before my mom finally caught me.
Hey everybody, I want to quickly mention food forest abundance. Food forest abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
And she caught me summer after my freshman year. And that is when everything changed. She had no idea that I was smoking weed. And once she was on to me, she was on to me. And that became really a huge part of my high school experience, was simply just hiding and sneaking around this habit from my mom, because I was already like a full-blown stoner at that point. There was no stopping me. I was addicted. I loved this. This was my medicine. This was my reward system after a hard day at school, after getting all my homework done. I was pretty unique in that way. I was kind of the exception of the rule. I didn't get lazier. I used it as motivation. I kept up with my work. I was still a good kid. I worked a part-time job. I just loved smoking weed and had a lot of, local spots nearby in the woods, certain friends' houses, places I could go and escape. But it was definitely a source of drama in my household, because my parents were having a rough time. This is when their marriage began falling apart. I think my mom felt just incredibly out of control, and to see me using drugs, even though it was just cannabis, I really wasn't even a big drinker as much as I liked smoking weed. It really caused a strain on our relationship. And by the time I was 17, she kicked me out of the house. I was living with a friend whose mom was cool with us smoking cannabis. And that went on for years until I went to college, got my own life, got away, still smoked weed, quit, explored with, sobriety without cannabis. And then all the way up until modern times, almost a year ago now, last February, I actually quit cannabis for the first time for an extended period, longer than just, hey, I'm going to take a month off to reset my tolerance kind of thing. I realized when I was 29, you know what? I've been smoking for 15 years. Let me just see if I can go one full year without cannabis. And I challenged myself to that starting February 1st, 2022. And it is now, at the time we're recording this, October 26th, 2022. So I've officially made it 9 months without cannabis, which is the longest I've ever gone in my entire life since that initial time I tried when I was 14 years old in my garage.
Yeah, that's quite the challenge after 15 years of hard on.
Yes.
How are the dreams?
Dreams are what is keeping me going, actually.
Okay.
The dreams have been so incredibly deep, vivid, beautiful, and healing for me that it's actually been a huge motivator to continue. And I had the experience before of the whole, quit cannabis, have crazy dreams. Like that happens even after a week or two off the plant, which I'd done that several times throughout the year, taking a break here and there, reassessed my relationship with it, only smoked at night, only smoked on the weekends. As I got older, I did grow away from needing it every day like I used as a kid. But the first few months were pretty hard. I experienced right away the crazy dreams. I was like, okay, yeah, here we go, nothing new. But what was really interesting to me was it leveled off. And then once I hit month 4, which is probably, actually, that was already probably the longest I'd ever gone without it, like 4 months. I hit a whole new level of depth with my dreams. And I wasn't expecting that. That's when I really started, sleep talking, sleepwalking a little bit. Actually, I began having lucid dreams. I began flying again in my dreams, which is something I hadn't had since I was a child. I've even had experiences of astral projection, which is my absolute favorite. So the longer I've gone into these 9 months, the more intense my dreams have been. And it's been a whole new drug, honestly, this dream world. Like, I love it. And my goal was to go a full year. At this point, I'm pretty used to it. I'm enjoying the dream space. And I know that I'm going to make it until February, and then I'll reassess in February if I want to, jump back in or try it again, or just continue with this phase I'm in, because yeah, the dreams are incredibly healing.
Awesome. Well, good for you, Shay. I'm glad that it's working out for you. And it sounds like they're very introspective, these dreams. You must take something away from each one of them.
Yeah, it's been really good. I've relived a lot of things from my childhood in the dreams. I've had memories come back to me, things that the plant was probably also helping to protect me from before I was at an age and a level of maturity where I could handle those things. But what's interesting, and this has happened to me in the past when I've taken breaks from cannabis, is, maybe you can relate to this. I've heard other people say the same, but it's like, I'll have dreams where I smoke cannabis. And I'll have dreams where it's like, in the dream, I've legitimately broke my cleanse and even been kind of guilty, like, no, I just smoked. What am I doing? I'm supposed to be on a break. No. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't actually smoke. It was just a dream. And it's funny because I was telling a friend of mine this, and he's a huge pothead. He said, cannabis is called the great seductress. And when you leave her, she'll come to you in your thoughts and in your dreams, trying to seduce you back into the world of, using cannabis regularly. And I really resonated with that. I thought that was really beautiful. I think we've all experienced a time or two where we genuinely wanted to not get high. We didn't want to smoke, but there's just this root feeling you get where the plant roots you into the earth and you're like, oh, I just got to do it. And I think, as beautiful and as beneficial as the plant is, we need to also not kid ourselves by saying like, oh, cannabis is never addictive. It is addictive. Anything can be addictive. And it's just important to find that balance and find your own relationship with the plant. How does it work for you? There's people I know who only like to smoke socially. There's people I know who can only smoke alone in a more, meditative, ceremonial state. And there's people who smoke all day, every day, and that's just what they need to get by. It's their antidepressant, it's their crutch, and that's fine too. Hey, look, I was there for years. No shame. I don't think I would have been able to build $2 million businesses in my 20s without cannabis. I don't think I would have been able to get through my home life in high school without cannabis. I don't think I would have been able to deal with my own self-shame and anxiety without cannabis. It really did support me for a very long time. But I think as we get older, sometimes we don't need medicine the way that we did when we were younger. But it's important to never judge or shame anyone for where they are personally at with their own journey with cannabis, because you just don't know how it's helping someone. And a lot of times, whether it's for pain relief or just recreational, people are doing it, and it's their choice.
Yeah, that's it. It's everyone's own journey with this plant, and everyone's got to go at their own pace and take it for what it's worth. Shay, you are a LinkedIn marketing guru. One of the few minutes we have left here, I'd like, if you could, tell our audience a little bit about why they should be on LinkedIn and why they need to be putting out video content for those entrepreneurs that are watching.
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn is a notoriously underrated platform. I think it gets overlooked when people talk about social media marketing, building your brand. It's still a lot of times seen as a resume platform or a place for job seekers, recruiters. And it's great for that too, but it's really become more of a playground for entrepreneurs, is what I like to call it. And I discovered LinkedIn a few years ago. I actually had a separate marketing company that I built that made videos for large pages on Facebook. So I was on Facebook for years, and that was great, but I was really working more with B2C consumer products. And then when I switched to B2B and discovered LinkedIn, I realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a much better audience for B2B high ticket offers. And also, there's really no competition on LinkedIn when it comes to making content. Everyone's trying to grow on TikTok, grow on Instagram. So I took all the knowledge I'd learned running a marketing company on Facebook all those years, and I pivoted to LinkedIn and just had massive success. And suddenly people started asking me for help with their LinkedIn. Hey, Shay, I see your LinkedIn's growing. Your videos are awesome. You're getting lots of business. Can you help me with my LinkedIn? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I sold the shares in my Facebook company and I pivoted to LinkedIn completely, where today I help business owners create primarily video content, but all types of content for the LinkedIn platform to grow their authority there and attract inbound deals. So instead of doing the outbound pitching, which we all see on LinkedIn and is very played out, really doesn't work anymore, we teach you how to make content on your own page, how to grow organically so that the business comes to you. And it's been super rewarding, super fun. I have dozens of business owners I've worked with who now have over 30,000 followers on their LinkedIn page, a steady stream of inbound traffic. Yeah. And I myself have a 7-figure business all from organic posting on LinkedIn. So it's just beautiful. I definitely, I'm grateful for the experience that I had at a young age, learning marketing and learning how to grow online digitally, because I think we can all see by now that it's not going to go anywhere. And LinkedIn is just an awesome place to meet valuable connections who are all about business. You get to cut through the fluff, all of the, the high schoolers on TikTok, all of the fitness models on Instagram, all of the people, just wanting to get views, likes, virality, fame. You get to cut through all that noise on LinkedIn and just go straight to people who are about their business, trying to look for ways to increase their revenue and make more money. So if you have a solution for them, if you have something that you can provide them to help their bottom line, that's what they're on LinkedIn for. They don't care about the cat videos. So it's a great platform to grow. And I think it's overlooked by a lot of people, especially the cannabis industry.
Yeah, that's great. Shameless plug. We'll have the links down below for Shay's newsletter. I've been reading them since we met. Today's newsletter was about speaking for free and being able to turn, if you have cameras there recording you speaking, turn that into content. Is it something, Shay, with LinkedIn where these CEOs and these executives, they don't care, they don't have the time to put out content? So is that why somebody like yourself became so successful, because that's what the eyeballs are going to?
It's a great question. It can go either way. I have a done with you service where we teach you how to create your own content and do it yourself. And I also have done for you for the busy executive, like you just mentioned, where they really don't have time. They need someone to really provide a white glove service where they can just, handle everything from A to Z, creating the content on their behalf, producing it, editing it, and even posting on the page and managing those posts and those messages on their behalf. So I do have an agency that offers that. But I also have for the, more bootstrap startup owner who's like, I got time, I want to make my own videos, I want to grow my own blog. I have a program for that as well. And actually a really great community of people who are all doing that and all learning it at the same time. So that's been really fun to watch people, discover their voice on camera and start making their own content. Yeah, so it really depends where you're at. But I will just say this, one thing that a lot of business owners don't realize when they get into the content creation journey is that the more you grow on social media and the more you build that authority, and you really just, you start to pivot to becoming the face. You get to become, if you want, and not everyone has this personality like I do, but if you want, you can become the top of the funnel for your entire company, where rather than, being stuck in fulfillment and doing things that maybe don't light your soul on fire, which I did for years doing operations in my previous marketing company, you can become the thought leader of your industry, the voice of reason, the authority around that area of expertise, because chances are, you've been in the industry for years, you can talk about it, you can, knock out the FAQs, what your prospects are struggling with, you know what keeps them up at night, you know the industry news, what people are talking about, what needs to be shared. So just learning how to package that up and put it into content for social media, you become this face that gets all of the attention on the offer that now hopefully you have a team running for you and doing the fulfillment in the back end. So it's been really beautiful to watch a lot of my clients who have always had that edge of stardom, that edge of, you know, I'm an artist, I'm a performer, I'm a thought leader, move from a place of having to be stuck in the day-to-day operations to just being on camera, getting asked to be on podcasts, going and doing speaking engagements, because that's actually what your company wants. They want the traffic, they want the leads, they want someone out there bringing in all of this attention so that when people get into the funnel and when people get into the sales cycle and they're on a sales call with a representative from your company, they're more likely to close because they already know, like, and trust you from your content. And actually, a lot of times they're even a fan. So it makes that sale a whole lot easier. It bypasses a lot of that, you know, typical sales stuff that people have to do when people first get into the funnel. They don't really know you. So I would say for a lot of business owners, it's a beautiful journey of discovering their voice and realizing, you know what, I don't even have to do this grunge work, this fulfillment that I don't really care to do. I just want to teach people about what I know and be the face. And I think that's a really, really beautiful place to arrive at. I've seen many of my clients get there where now all they do is content, all they do is speaking engagements, all they do is grow their blog, and they're constantly funneling more and more traffic, which their team then takes care of on the back end.
Excellent. And when we met at the expo, your team was there. They shared some great information. We're looking into the package of
Oh, are you? Oh, awesome. Yes.
helping come up with ideas and videos for LinkedIn. It's funny, at the event, when I sat down, you said, anybody want to learn about LinkedIn marketing? LinkedIn was the one place that we really weren't doing anything. And
right.
I had started it years ago when I started podcasting, and that's how I was getting guests. And I just figured cannabis, it's probably not the biggest thing on there. And then after you spoke, and you did a great job, one of the random vendors there, I was talking to him about our show. Would you like to come on the show? And the guy says, yeah, how much do you charge? And I said, I don't charge anything. And
yeah.
That's when the wheel started turning, Shay. Okay, we're new, we're less than a year, we're still trying to build an audience, but now I can visualize why LinkedIn, more of a B2B, not that right now we're looking for people to pay us to come on the show, because we still want to be authentic and genuine and build our audience, but I can see how not too far down the road, that's a possibility where that's a stream of income.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, what you just said there is also a lesson in marketing I'd like to touch on real quick, which is,
Sure.
You said, oh, we didn't know anything about how to do LinkedIn though. LinkedIn is what we call for ourselves a unique mechanism. So every business needs to identify what is your unique mechanism, because chances are you're not the only one. Chances are whatever solution you're providing, you have competitors. You have other people who are bringing people to that same transformation through their product or their service. So there's tons of social media marketing companies out there. I mean, they're a dime a dozen. Hey, we'll teach you content. We'll make your content. We'll run your page. That's not unique. What is unique and what helps me to stand out is that I do LinkedIn. So that's my unique mechanism. And I encourage anyone who joins my program, that's part of the exercise. One of the exercises we go through is like, hey, how are you differentiating yourself from your competitors? What makes you unique? Because the reality is, a lot of times when people come into your funnel, they're actually already sold on the solution. They know they need the solution you provide. They're just shopping around to see which vendor to go with. And if you can stand out from the other vendors, like, hey, they're going to buy anyways. Let's give you that level up. Let's get you that unique mechanism to get them to be like, oh, wow, this is interesting. I haven't seen this. Yeah, this is the route I want to go to arrive at that solution that really, you know, a lot of people provide.
Excellent. Well, always enjoyed speaking with you, Shay, always dropping some knowledge bombs. So thank you very much for coming on Dro TV and giving us some time and being an awesome guest. Please let everybody know the best place they can find you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you can always visit my website, shayrowbottom.com. Join my newsletter. There's also a form there you can fill out to schedule a call with my team to talk about your business. We'll audit your LinkedIn a little bit. We'll audit your content game, see how you're doing, provide some feedback, and see if you're a good fit for either our program, where we can teach you and your company how to do this yourself, or our agency, where we can do it all for you. But you can also just follow me on social media everywhere at Shay Rowbottom. And thank you.
You're welcome. That's Shay. She's awesome. Make sure you go down and smash the like button and leave a comment. I know you learned something today, so go leave a comment with what you learned. If you have questions, leave a comment and a question as well. You can always reach out to Shay. And that's it for today. I forgot my prop. I end every show, Shay, with smoke them if you got them. And this is a Delta 8 prop. It's a prop joint.
I love Delta 8.
It's a prop joint.
Nice.
I'll never smoke this, but it looks good on camera.
That's funny.
So, but anyways, thank you for everybody who tuned in for today's episode. Please make sure you go check out Shay Rowbottom Marketing. Some great info on there.
Check it out. I'm not smoking right now, guys. I will be back, but I do have a pink vape. I'm doing a little nicotine just to kind of help with the oral fixation, since quitting. So here we go. It's not the same, Mike. It's not the same, but
it's not the same.
Pink,
I mean, I've got the Delta
vape.
8. This is probably just as bad. So
Delta 8 is great. I love Delta 8. I love Delta 9. I love all the things.
Have you smoked Delta 8?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I used to, so in Florida, the recreational is not legal. So all you can get at the dispensary legally is Delta 8. So when my boyfriend was coming off of Adderall, actually, he was having a really hard time with the physical withdrawals. And the only thing that helped him was the Delta 8 gummies. He was doing the edibles with the Delta 8. And I got a little into the edibles with him back then at the time. And we had some fun. So
excellent. Well, thanks again, Shay. It was a pleasure. And for everybody tuned in, catch you on the next episode. Smoke them if you got them.
Thanks, Mike.
What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got 'em.